Okay, so this is going to be the video about FC Barcelona trying to sign certain players, and we're going to be talking about the project that Deco, Hansi Flick, and Joan Laporta want to build going into the next season. This one's going to be very important because we do have brand new details on who Deco is looking out for and what Joan Laporta wants to do for 2025, 2026, and beyond. Because one of the things that we have heard as of now is Joan Laporta clearly wants to be re-elected as the club's president. He recently just said, "We have saved the club. The project deserves to continue." And so Joan Laporta knows that he has the Spotify Camp Nou being built. He knows that Hansi Flick and this appointment that he made 9 months ago, it is working. Barcelona has reached a whole other different level. And Joan Laporta is going to use this as leverage and say, look, Barcelona is better financially. Look at our sporting success. We won the domestic treble. I want to be re-elected. If you want this to continue, I must continue as the president of FC Barcelona. So if that's going to be true, if Joan Laporta gets re-elected easily, because I honestly don't think that there's anybody out there that can really go toe-to-toe with Joan Laporta today, and especially going into the next year in summer 2026, what does that mean? What does that mean for the future of this club, right? And we're going to be talking about the continuity of Deco, because I believe that Joan Laporta is going to want to keep Deco. It's not like it's going to be a Mateo Alemán situation where he's only with us for like 2.5 years. I believe that Deco will continue. Deco likes to use Hansi Flick, and Hansi Flick is also working very well with Deco. So this structure here, it's going to continue, and they want to prepare for the now and for the future. And one of the things that Deco has jotted down on the drawing board is the fact that Barcelona need to sign 3 to 4 different players, 3 to 4 new signings this summer. And we don't know exactly who that could be, but we're going to be pulling up some reports. But what we know for sure is what positions will be reinforced. Once again, we don't know the exact players. We can't 100% confirm it, but we know the exact positions. And those 3 key positions that Deco has talked about, it is the center back position, the right back position, and the left wing position, meaning that Barcelona have no interest in signing a brand new striker. For those of you guys who have been wondering whether Julian Alvarez can join us, Barcelona right now want to focus on 3 different positions. We'll see what happens after that. But as of now, the striker position is not being eyed on. The central midfield position is not being eyed on, nor the CDM position. We are well covered in that with Frankie and Pedri, who recently also had great performances against Villarreal. And with Bernal Casado, there's no way, right? In terms of the, we'll just say the left back position, Alejandro Balde and Gerard Martin are doing very well. They have been spectacular, in my opinion. So it all comes down to these 3 positions. And here's the thing. We talked about Nico Williams. We talked about Rafael Leao. But Deco continues to be very consistent on who he wants and who he does prefer. Right? So like, what is his priority for the left wing position? And that is Luis Diaz. That is the exact same player Deco recommended last summer in 2024. But the reason why Barcelona could not go for Luis Diaz is because of financial reasons. There was also the input of Hansi Flick, also the input of Joan Laporta and other, just people within the sporting department. Hence the reason why the Luis Diaz deal never really materialized. And I also believe that Arne Slot had a say on Luis Diaz leaving Liverpool or not. But it does seem like after Luis Diaz, who has spent almost like I think 4 or 5 seasons at Liverpool, he's gonna want a move away. And clearly we can come to an agreement that this Barcelona team need a left winger that can dribble with the ball, a player who can provide the width, a player who's very pacey, right? We need a Deco type of player like what he is to Manchester City, somebody who constantly dribbles over and over again with high value. And Luis Diaz is one of those players. In terms of like carrying the ball, dribbling success rate, Luis Diaz has that over Rafinha. Now, of course, when it comes to being efficient in terms of goals and assists, attacking open spaces, Rafinha has been a monster and better than Luis Diaz. But that is mainly because of Hansi Flick's effect. What happens when you bring a player like Luis Diaz under the Hansi Flick effect and under a system like FC Barcelona? So I believe that Deco is looking at that in that type of view, and he's saying, okay, Luis Diaz is the perfect player. Now, the conversation that we also need to have is whether this guy is financially feasible or not, because Luis Diaz, if he were to leave, he might cost around 75 to 80 million euros. Can FC Barcelona afford that? We'll talk about that in just a few seconds. But yeah, Luis Diaz is one of the players that Deco is trying to prioritize for the left wing position. And Barcelona have to act fast because, like if we continue to wait and Barcelona's like, okay, we'll just wait because we have to fix our finances. We need like 6 or 7 more weeks. It gets tough, right? It gets tough for us to reinforce all of our positions and the players that we prefer because, for example, Jonathan Tah is waiting for FC Barcelona. But if Jonathan Tah needs to move to Bayern Munich tomorrow, he will do that. Tah is waiting for Bayern or FC Barcelona, but he wants to hear from Barcelona first before trying to make a decision between Bayern and Barca. And we can't not afford losing a player like Jonathan Tah. Jonathan Tah is exactly what Barcelona need in the back line because he has the height. He's very good in aerial duels. We have been extremely weak in set pieces when it comes to corners, right? Whether it's defensively or offensively, or when people or players want to make a cross into the box against us. Jonathan Tah can defend those aerial duels, right? So this team does thrive off of center backs who are like higher than 6 feet or 6'1", 6'2", 6'3". So, and Jonathan Tah is also a great ball distributor. He knows how to pass the ball very well. So bringing in a player like Jonathan Tah would really complement somebody like Kubarsi. Having Jonathan Tah and Kubarsi at the back would really help and upgrade Barcelona defensively. And we talked about Barcelona's defensive game. We know that there are some weaknesses, and Jonathan Tah can really modify our defensive line. But who knows? He might be heading towards Bayern Munich, and Barcelona have to act fast. We look at Jeremy Frimpong. We wanted a right back, right? And we just literally talked about how we have to reinforce the right back position. And one of the solutions to that was Jeremy Frimpong, who is going to be leaving Bayer Leverkusen because Xabi Alonso is also going to leave Bayer Leverkusen, just like Florian Wirtz, maybe even Grimaldo as well. But Frimpong was a player that Barcelona liked, but he is now set to join Liverpool 100%. It's just not going to happen, which begs the question: who is Barcelona going to be looking at now for the right back position? And I wouldn't be surprised if later down the road we hear that, after assessing the full market and looking at all of the right backs and how they performed in the past 9 months, Deco is just now satisfied with Eric Garcia to be the reinforcer in the right back position with Jules Koundé. I wouldn't be surprised. But as of now, I would say that maybe a player like Venderson would make sense, right? We'll see what happens with Venderson because Deco is also a really big fan of Venderson and how he performs defensively, especially. We need that. It's extremely important. So in terms of the left wing position, right now, Luis Diaz, right back position, maybe it could be Venderson. There might be a new player that might rise up just out of nowhere, maybe coming from Argentina, maybe coming from Brazil, but you better bet. I honestly think that Deco is looking at a player that's a right back that has a lot of European success. We just don't know exactly who that could be. So as of now, we would say that Tah should come, Venderson should come, and Luis Diaz. But everything is subject to change because I know that Deco has a long list of players in each position that he wants to propose to Hansi Flick, and Hansi Flick does have to choose. Now, going to the financial situation, it has been confirmed, according to Joan Laporta, and he said this yesterday, that Barcelona is finally back under the 1-1 rule. However, he stated specifically, yes, we can sign, of course, but with difficulties. The financial fair play rules are, let's just say, very unique, but that's what will make success even sweeter. So if you really listen to Joan Laporta's words and what he's saying here, he's saying yes, we can sign, but there's difficulties, there is restrictions, and we have financial fair play rules that is unique, meaning that nobody else has what we have in terms of difficulties, and nobody has the type of let's just say lack of trying to make transfers, right? In La Liga, Real Madrid, they can make all the transfers in the world, all of the transfers. Real Madrid can sign whoever they want, give the wages that they want, and that's why Joan Laporta is saying what we have is unique because nobody else has this in La Liga. They only punish us, they only restrict us. Real Madrid, they're having no problem signing any players. Alaba, you're like, yeah, sure. Alaba, he can stay on 20 million euros a season, even though he does not play. It's fine. It's whatever. We can bring in Dean Huijsen, right? Let's just bring him in. Who cares? Let's pay the money, give him a good wage, whatever, right? Keep Mbappe, keep Vinicius at 25 million euros a season. No problem. It's just no problem. Trent, yeah, sure. Let's bring Trent in, give him a good wage. Yeah, he's free. maybe we have to pay maybe 9 million euros to Liverpool for whatever reason. But let's give him a good wage. Let's give him maybe 18, 20 million euros. It's just it's like literally Real Madrid have a unlimited wage cap. You compare that to FC Barcelona. We try to bring in a player like Oriol Romeu like last summer, and we barely afforded that. And the rest was like loanees like Joao Cancelo and Joao Felix. But with Real Madrid, it's no problem. Yeah, sure. Spend 150 million euros in Mbappe. Not a problem. It's fine. No punishment or restrictions, no nothing. You can spend more in the summer of 2025. So Joan Laporta knows that. He's saying that we have difficulties. It's very unique. But obviously, you know, Barcelona is and continuing to be in a better financial position. It was also reported that Barcelona couldn't initially include the VIP seat sales in their books because the physical sale of the assets was still pending. So we have yet to officially sell the VIP seats, and it's going to be happening in this summer. So the good news is that it's going to be finalized very soon. And once it is, Barcelona will have more breathing room in the market, which is what Joan Laporta is anticipating. So that is why he's saying that just for now, yes, we are in the 1-1 rule. There is some restrictions, but it will get better. And the success is going to feel even sweeter because he knows that the VIP seat sales is going to come in later down the road within these next 3 to 4 weeks. So that is something to really look forward to. Now, we also have to talk about Hansi Flick's tactical evolution and mentality because Joan Laporta gave some insights on Hansi Flick's approach going forward based off what problems did we have in the past 9 months? What weaknesses did we have? And Joan Laporta stated, Hansi studies everything deeply. This season, we played the Barcelona way, but he's already evolving the system. That takes time and full team coordination. It can't be done mid-season. And this is exactly what I talked about in my previous videos. He's evolving the system, making small modifications. Just because I stated that Hansi Flick conceded more goals compared to Xavi's Barcelona does not mean that I'm trying to say that Xavi Hernandez's Barcelona was better than Hansi. Never said that. I just said that because Hansi Flick conceded way more, that is something that we should fix, right? Why not fix it? Why not evolve? Look at what happened in the match against Villarreal. They scored 3 goals against us. 3. That's a problem, right? That is a problem. It's too many goals conceded. And one of their goals that they scored was in the first 5 minutes. So yes, it's correct. Let's look at our weaknesses and let's make some modifications. Let's evolve. Let's keep the opponents guessing. So expect for a lot of changes in terms of like player changes to happen and some small little modifications within the system. Flick himself added, defense starts from the front. We want to be compact with every player knowing how and when to press. Even players like Frankie and Pedri are giving everything defensively too. That's what I want. 100% from everyone with and without the ball. Now, in terms of player exits, right? Who's staying, who's leaving? We talked about who could potentially come, but who is like maybe potentially having a 50% chance of leaving, because at the end of the day, Barcelona do have to sell some players in order to bring new players in. And let's talk about Ferran Torres first. It has been said that Aston Villa want to give Barcelona 50 million euros for Ferran Torres. I don't know about you guys, but given the context of Barcelona's like striker position and the extreme lack of like options that we have, I know that we still have Lewandowski, but going at 37 years old, we have to be very cautious on who we do let go in that position. I would tell you that, you know, I would keep Ferran Torres only because we're not going for a striker this summer, right? And we don't want to lose one, and we don't know what's going to happen to Pau Victor. And I know that 50 million euros does seem like a very good deal. Like, dude, like if Deco said tomorrow or in the next 2 hours that, you know, they're going to be looking for a striker, a new striker, and for sure it's going to be one of the top priorities, then yes, sell Ferran Torres for 50 million euros, use that 50 million euros to fund the transfer of Gyökeres, who, you know, Gyökeres and Sporting have a full agreement that the max transfer value is going to be 65 million euros. It's very cheap for a player who has scored 50 goals in 50 goals per season in the past 2 years. I would just do that, like use that 50 million euros to fund the 65 million euro transfer deal of Gyökeres. But Deco does not have that in his plans. So I would not sell Ferran Torres for 50 because, like, what the hell, dude? Like, who are we going to put in that position? Now, the other solution that I would have, but we haven't had no confirmation from Deco or Hansi Flick yet, is, okay, we sell Ferran Torres for 50 million euros, move Dani Olmo to the number 9 position, and use that 50 million euros to fund any of the right back positions or center back positions or the left wing position. Maybe somebody like Luis Diaz, because he is, his transfer is just so high. So maybe just do that. Right? But I would say that for Ferran Torres is very 50-50. They're gonna have to get creative if they think about selling Ferran. So I would just say for now, there's a 50-50 chance Ferran Torres, he does prefer to stay, according to a lot of the reports that I have been hearing, and the coaching staff do value him highly, and so his departure does seem very unlikely at the moment. And then comes Ansu Fati. Ansu Fati, I just think that he will leave. He will for sure leave, and it's sad for me to say that, because I'm somebody that does not like to put down any player whatsoever. Like, whether it's Ter Stegen, who had a very bad performance against Villarreal, or Ansu Fati, I am not that person that says you must leave because you sucked. I think that every player has their moments. But at the end of the day, we have to put the badge first, and we have to think about how can we improve our squad going forward to the next season. What do we need to do, right? What players do we have to let go, as much as that hurts? And Ansu Fati, to me, was a player that I thought back in 2019 was going to be the best player in the world. He was supposed to be next to the names of Messi by now. But unfortunately, it is the injuries that killed him. And the knee injuries, the hamstring injuries, and when he came back, I just feel like mentally, he lost it, and he did lose his explosiveness, which is one of the most important things that he did carry when he first came into the scenes at the age of 16, 17, and 18 years old. His explosiveness is what carried him so well. His ability to place the ball into space, run to that specific space because his explosiveness was so good, and score the goals on his own. His one-touch goals was also really good, and based off that type of trajectory, when we saw him in 16, 17, 18 years old, Ansu Fati would be toe-to-toe with Lamine Yamal today in terms of talent. Ansu Fati on the left, Yamal on the right, it would have been the best wing duo in the world. I don't even think we would be hearing about Rafinha today if Ansu Fati never really got injured and he kept on going with that type of trajectory, because he was just so strong physically as well. You tried to body him when he was 17, dude. 17, and you could not put him down, but now he falls like he's just fragile. So it's sad, dude. Like, I hate that. I really do hate that. Now, Joan Laporta made it very clear, and he stated, we want Ansu Fati to continue. He has a valid contract, and he brings something special. And I always say, he's the music of this team. Now, when I heard this, I'm like, okay, maybe there's that chance. But now it's really hard for me to believe that, after not seeing Ansu Fati play in a match where it did not even really matter, which was against Villarreal. Ansu Fati was on the bench. Even with Barcelona winning the league title, Ansu Fati still did not come in. It just shows you that Hansi Flick and Deco do not plan to use Ansu Fati for the now and for the future. They just cannot rely on the player. They don't believe in him. And Ansu Fati has just not been showing what he needs to show to Hansi in order for him to get minutes. Because Hansi Flick does not have favoritism. He doesn't. If he had favoritism, we would not be seeing our youngsters go into the squad. Not Yamal, not Barça. He would not be used. If he had favoritism, it would have never happened. We would have never seen Fermin Lopez starting over Dani Olmo, right? Favoritism just means that, like, oh yeah, because you have a big name, you should be starting. Hansi Flick is not that. He's like, do you provide results or not? And so with Ansu Fati, unfortunately for him, even with Joan Laporta saying that, we want Ansu Fati to continue, I don't see that on the pitch. I see Hansi Flick and Joan Laporta, in terms of this conversation alone for Ansu, they're very different on this. Very different. They don't see eye to eye on it. So I do see Ansu Fati leaving. Maybe at 10 to 50 million euros. It's nothing but, like, it would help all parties. It would help Ansu, it would help Barcelona and Hansi Flick. And so that is it, right? That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.